Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with jazz pianist Yelena Eckemoff on the 2025 album Scenes from the Dark Ages. We catch up with an old friend of the show to get into her newest project that has been described this way, infusing spellbinding progressive rock and roll with a medieval concept and delivered by a top-tier ensemble. Scenes from the Dark Ages immerses the listener in a nearly 2-hour surrealistic and spellbinding experience. That's quite a description. We get into this project, modern living, and so much more. It's always great to catch up with her. Enjoy this interview. It's wonderful to catch up with you. I think this might be our 4th interview, so you're a regular here at Neon Jazz.
Yes, thank you. I know. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I really enjoy the album. I've already played it on the show, and it's interesting because these are such strange times we're living in right now, particularly since the beginning of the year. So Scenes from the Dark Ages just seems like it fits the times right now.
Well, it wasn't really intended like that. But yeah, you're right. It's probably just very appropriate for the times.
So let's get into the idea for this. I know this was something that you were really that you were really wanting to do for very personal reasons. So talk to me a little bit about how Scenes from the Dark Ages, like how the idea came about and how you developed this album.
It took me all my life to process this idea, actually, because I really had the image of medieval ages with the castles and all those like attributes of the Middle Ages in my mind, inspired by a lot of books that I read, especially like fairy tales. And when I was growing up, books were only entertainment, so I read a lot. And especially when I was very little, my mom was buying me illustrated children's books, and it basically created that kind of like image in my cumulative image in my mind. And my project actually is probably just totally based on that world that I created inside of myself. Firstly when I was a child, and then when I was growing up, and it probably has not that much to do with the real history, which I studied, of course, and I know how Middle Ages, well, as much as person can know what Middle Ages were real Middle Ages looked like. But for me, it was fairy tale-ish, so that project probably, even the paintings I made, they kind of like, they look on the sunny side of the Middle Ages, on the more romantic, more like those images that you have from good movies about like Conan the Barbarian or something. Yeah, that's what, but practically I, when I was working in my little MIDI studio after immigration, and basically that was only way for me to continue my work. And it was a good way because I had like opportunity to not only compose on the music paper, but actually make sound recordings. And I did create this project called it Medieval Symphony. It was before I even like launched my career in here, continued, I guess, my career because after immigration I couldn't do anything for a number of years while children were still little. And that project was created actually in my MIDI studio, but I really liked it. But then I decided not to release it because I had some other CDs that I released like from that era. which did not I didn't promote or anything. It was just like making those CDs and manufacturing them. But this one I decided not to even do that anything about, just because I think it was already evident for me that as a solo, playing drums, playing everything, playing all the instruments, I felt like I was short in the real feel of drums and guitars and everything. So even though it sounded kind of okay, but it didn't sound, for me, it didn't sound good enough. And I thought material was deserving better treatment. But then it took me almost like more than 15 years, I think, before I returned to this idea of that medieval project. And then because I saw the opportunity to record it live, and that's what I took this opportunity, because I thought those musicians will be perfect for implementing all those ideas. And of course, I did rework the project. It wasn't entirely what was created in my MIDI studio, but it was based on it largely. Yes, so this is a history.
Yeah. So, what are you ultimately hoping the listener gets from this album?
um, well, it the I didn't think about it when I was creating this, but what happened? So the medieval times are represented somehow with my melodies, which kind of sometimes hint to, sometimes more than sometimes less, to those medieval melodies. I didn't use any real medieval melodies. I just created my own, but with a feeling of this. But also, it's totally modern sound with rock guitar and Trilog Gurtu. Definitely, he provides those energetic drums like only he can do. So that definitely wasn't available, any of it, during the Middle Ages. But other instruments that I used, like organs and flute and violin, also hint to the medieval times. So I think that's almost like idea of the times maybe are distant, but people are the same, and whatever people lives are filled with, like they are like dreams, aspirations, and basically the same, just different decorations around different means. So it's I kind of melted it in one part, those like distant times with the modern times. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. And I'm curious, speaking of medieval times, there's a lot of things that have been happening in America, particularly since the beginning of the year, that almost makes it feel like we're going back to dark times and we're going back to things that we never thought would happen to human beings. So I'm curious, with new music out, what does it mean to be an artist, to be able to give the world music, to help them feel comfortable, to help them kind of escape some of the ways that we're living and the things that are going on in this country right now?
Well, I think if like I don't want to make example of myself, but for me, I mean, I really feel like if I have sufficient means and sufficient things to live. I know sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's not easy, and especially funding all my like music is very hard. But if people prioritize what is important for them and they work hard, and they that's what we need to do. We cannot do too much, but we can do what we can. I can do music, for example, and somebody can do some other thing, and work hard and make contribution to meaningful contribution to everybody's lives, right? So doctors and teachers and radio programmers, everybody is involved. And so instead of just because it's like we as individuals, we cannot influence what is going on with the whole world, right? But we can do our part to stay positive and use our talents to the greater good, right?
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. So talk to me a little bit about live shows, what's going on. If anybody wants to catch this live or get a copy of the album, how can they do that?
Yeah, the album is available on Bandcamp as both physical and digital, both physical and digital way, and of course everywhere on streaming. And I everybody has my permission to stream. I know some artists are really picky about it and don't want people to stream because it's really, of course, it's bad. But I think it's whatever. If, for example, I know that a lot of people in the other countries, there's the only way to listen to my music is streaming, some way of streaming. And so in some countries just pirate it and listen to it, whatever. And I'm okay with it. As long as people like my music and listen to it, they can listen to it whatever way they want. So, but yes, Bandcamp is probably the best way to get my albums, this one and others. I stopped Amazon completely because it got really bad. And of course, in Europe, there's whoever is living in Europe, there is opportunity to get my physical copies also through in acoustic distribution. But the live shows, yes, it would be really a lot of fun to take it live, take it like maybe have a even costume, like something in costumes and some really big act to perform this, but this is just completely impossible. But because this international team, Italian musicians, Trilogor 2 is based in Germany, and I am here in America, and it's definitely it's not possible just to arrange it, and unfortunately, it would be too expensive and too time-wise. Like everybody's so busy, all those musicians are so busy, and because they're very prominent and they have a lot of things going on. So no live shows are planned, definitely. But I think I have videos. I have also on YouTube some live recordings. 5 tracks were recorded live, and it's actually different versions from the CD. So, and I have video PK, long video PK, where everybody's talking about album also. So there are a lot of things out there for whoever wants to dig deeper and get more information. Also on my website, there are all reviews collected for all my records on my website, and so it's been already like about 30 reviews for things from the dark ages. So yes, information is plentiful out there. So whoever wants to get it, would be happy to provide them more directions and answer questions.
So, the one thing about doing interviews now after the album comes out is that you've already kind of moved on to the next thing, and I know you're really regular about releasing material. Are you already thinking about your next project? How do you kind of go into each of these projects? Do you have kind of like a yearly timetable? How does that work for you?
Yes, it's I record so far. I've been recording every year since 2010. Um, I started this like very extensive recording thing, and it's actually this year it's 15-year anniversary from the release of my first proper critically acclaimed albums. And I actually, on my website, I have this page, 15-year anniversary, for whoever wants to read about it. And I think I will get a little bit more noise about this a little later. But yes, I record, sometimes I was recording twice a year. Some of the years I was recording twice, but now it's just once a year, and I already recorded last year in Sweden. So next year release will be a Swedish project about with the Swedish musicians about Sweden, actually. So with a cellist and who played also cello and bass, Svante Henrysson. So it's going to be very different project from Scenes from Dark Ages. But then I'm recording in the fall another project, which is going to be kind of follow up to Scenes from Dark Ages, but without medieval theme. So yes, and I constantly juggle between current release, next year release, and also this year recording. Well, I'm happy about it. For as long as I'm able, I'm really happy that I can do that.
Excellent. So again, if anybody wants to pick up a copy, they can stream it. I will have links in the show notes. And Yelena, it's always wonderful to catch up with you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out, and best of luck with the release.
Well, thank you so much, Joe. And it's my pleasure to always talk to you, and I appreciate your interest and your support.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and minds in LA, New York City, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Yelena for her time and coming on back to the show. If you want to hear more Neon Jazz interviews, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to us at YouTube, and for everything Neon Jazz, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends. Jazz fans, Joe Domino here, the host of the weekly Neon Jazz radio show and regular interview series being produced and distributed from Lee Summit, Missouri. We are very excited to let you know about the second annual Lee Summit Jazz Festival taking place again this summer on June 28th at the Bridge Space, located at 210 Southwest Market Street in downtown Lee Summit. Following the success of the 2024 festival, the lineup will include Lee Summit students, KC Area Youth Jazz, Paganova with Michael Pagan, Horoscope with Stan Kessler, Brad Gregory, Adam Larson, and the Lee Summit Jazz Orchestra. There will also be food trucks and vendors to round out a day of celebration. Early bird tickets are 2 for $30, and all details can be found at lsjazzfest.com. We can't wait to see you there.